Hello and welcome to DIY Therapy. As always, we start with a disclaimer. This podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not designed to diagnose or treat. When beginning any exercise program, it should be reviewed and discussed with your medical professional prior to beginning. Information on this podcast is not designed to replace medical treatment. My name is Will. With me as always is Andy. How you feeling?
I am doing better. For our listeners, I actually had a little bit of a vestibular issue. I have terrible sinus problems, and they kind of mess up my equilibrium, and I was a little discombobulated earlier this week, and so if I sound a little off, more than usual, that is, there's a reason why.
Off is a relative term for us, isn't it?
Yeah, where's my baseline, right? So, yeah. And how are you doing, bud?
I am fine. I feel great. No physical problems besides my hip, and I'm normal. Yeah.
All right. So what are we talking about today?
We'll talk about a couple of things. How about we'll start off with a little bit of braces, like neck braces and back braces. If they're good, should you use them? Yada, yada, yada. And what else? There's something else. I cannot remember. What else?
Oh, we were going to talk about OT versus PT.
Yeah, what the difference between OT and PT is.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. We'll just wing that one. You want to start off with the braces?
So I get asked a lot, especially with back braces. We get asked a lot. I know I do. That, if it's a good thing or a bad thing to wear a back brace. And I'm kind of torn on it a little bit. Sometimes I feel like if they help, they help. That's not a bad thing. But you become over reliant on it, all of your core muscles or your neck muscles, for that matter, will stop working and get weaker and make the problems worse.
Yeah, I mean you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It really comes down to what stage you are, like in terms of your pain. If you're having extremely high pain, and the only thing that you can, and it's fairly consistent, and the only thing that you can do to really relieve some of that pain is to put a brace on your back, or come in with a soft cervical collar, or something of that nature. If that's the only thing that can actually give you some relief, that's okay for that time period. It kind of goes back to everything that we've talked about in our previous podcasts. The first stage in managing any kind of problem, whether it's back pain, knee pain, foot pain, neck pain, whatever it is, it's all about trying to decrease your symptoms, or decrease the high level symptoms. So it's pain management early on, and if that's the only thing that you can do early on, because everything hurts and that gives you some relief, then it is appropriate. There's quite a bit of debate on braces, specifically back and neck braces, cervical collars, those types of things. And you'll hear some people say that absolutely never, don't ever wear a brace. It's terrible for you. But again, there is moments when it's appropriate for you when you're in high levels of pain. The key is to start to quickly wean yourself off after the symptoms start to discontinue. So, if you're in an 8 out of 10 pain fairly consistently, and you have trouble doing any type of movement, and the only time that you can get your pain levels to drop down to below a 5 is by putting on like a cervical collar, well then absolutely get it on there for a bit. But then you have to get that cervical collar off and start to kind of wean yourself off of it as quick as possible once those symptoms start to get more consistently below those 5s out of 10. I think the other, you also mentioned, Will, muscles will atrophy. The big concern that people have is that they become dependent on those cervical collars or the back braces, and therefore when they do actually take the braces off because they've left them on for too long of a period of time, they don't feel that stability, and they immediately feel pain because those muscles have either weakened, atrophied, or lost any kind of coordination. And that's really where you'll hear the other side of the argument is don't ever put a collar or a back brace on, because you'll lose coordination, muscle strength, muscle mass, etc. But again, if it's the only thing that you can do to manage symptoms, absolutely get it on there, but then start to wean yourself off immediately following the fact that the symptoms start to go away. So in other words, you shouldn't be wearing it 24/7. It should be something that's really intermittent and based upon your symptoms. there are other, in my opinion, there are other times that you can certainly use a brace and or a neck cervical collar is when you would be doing something very specific that you know aggravates it. So let's say that you have intermittent pain. Your pain isn't so pain that comes and goes, but your pain doesn't necessarily doesn't necessarily last very long, and it's very activity specific. So you've got back pain and you're working in the yard. Okay, well put the
back side
while you're doing those activities that you know are aggravating it. Another philosophy that we've talked about a lot on these podcasts is figuring out which activities are really the drivers of your symptoms. So when you're forced into those activities, yes, you can still put those braces on for those activities, even if that activity is for a short period of time or even up to an hour or two. It just, again, is not something that you want to be reliant on, and you also want to slowly start to wean yourself off of those, off of using the braces during those activities also. So there are appropriate times and there are inappropriate times to be using a brace, and it's really based upon your symptoms and what you're experiencing.
Yeah, it's all about control. There's not control, but it's all about moderation. As with everything, moderation is the key.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but it's all about everybody being everybody's unique. This isn't cookie cutter, so you have to really continue to look at your symptoms and what you're experiencing, and then use the brace when appropriate based upon the guidelines we just kind of talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I've heard, and I don't do a ton of this, but I've heard other people will have success with this, is to actually do some core strengthening with like a back brace on. Sometimes that can give you a little bit more stability. Actually, can give you a little bit of more proprioception, which is really just more coordination and joint awareness, and it's where your body is in space awareness. So sometimes that's something that's nice that you can kind of add into. So again, there is some appropriateness to do that. Or if you're doing a certain core strengthening exercise that hurts for a certain degree of it, maybe you're doing a bridge and it hurts to go all the way up and you can only go halfway up, but with a brace on you can actually go all the way up. Sometimes that's nice to kind of introduce that new activity in that motion, in that movement. So I think that's certainly something that you could try to incorporate too, if it's a certain exercise that your therapist or your healthcare professional recommended, but it kind of hurts partially through the motion. You could maybe try to do a brace through that for maybe 3 or 4 or 5, 6 days, and then take the brace away, and then see if you can do the exercise without using the brace. That's a nice kind of bridge to get you to do.
I get it.
Play on words. and clearly, I am not in the mindset to be funny, so that was all on accident. So. Anything else to add on that, Will?
No, it just that pretty much sums it up. It's like you said, not everybody's cookie cutter. Everybody's unique. So even sometimes a brace that works for somebody will not work for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, if you're in that much pain and you feel like a brace is worth it, have a go. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna be the end of the world. Just don't over rely on it. Otherwise, it could make everything worse in the long run.
It's a nice transition piece for people who are having trouble with normal daily activities but can't perform them, or it sends them in kind of a pain spiral. So sometimes it's this nice transition piece.
Yeah, that's all I got about that.
Yeah, me too. So OTs and PTs.
They get confused.
What's the difference?
They get confused a lot.
Do you want to tell the friend of your doctor, or maybe you shouldn't?
Well, not necessarily that, but I'll tell this story. When I worked in the hospital, I always differentiated PTs and OTs this way. As a PT, I was worried about you getting from point A to point B safely, whether that's from the bed to the bathroom, from the chair to the you got a dog problem.
Yeah, we always have a dog problem. Knock it off.
Or from the chair to, the kitchen. That was what I was worried about. OT is worried about what you do when you get to point B. So whether that be the bathroom, the kitchen, whatever, when you're doing there, you're chopping vegetables in the kitchen. That's what they're concerned about. With outpatient, I was just, okay, it's hands. OT does hands, and we do, PT does a lot of the rest of the body. I don't know. Sometimes they do shoulders. It depends.
Yeah. So great explanation, I think, of it. From a hospital standpoint, I think you did a good job.
The outpatient one is not necessarily accurate.
Yeah. The inpatient is always just, hey, balance, walking, ambulating, general safety, so you don't fall and hurt yourself. And then, as you noted, OT is going to be more dressing, toileting, bathing, those types of things, cooking. But then again, when you get to the outpatient, I think there's always kind of a battle between OT. I shouldn't call it a battle, but kind of, especially in the practice that we work in, Will, where it's like, okay, well, there's a shoulder referral coming through, and should it be OT or PT? Because in the scope of practice from an occupational therapist,
they can definitely see them.
Yeah, so they essentially are, they have domains over the shoulder, elbow, wrist, hands, fingers, etc. And the difference between this is that they are that's all they typically work with. So I would, especially from the elbow down, I would say that an OT is going to be who you want to talk to, who you want to have conversations with, unless you're talking with a PT who has a hand specialty, which there are those out there. And because PTs still cover the entire gambit, we are technically able to treat through our scope of practice hands, fingers, wrists, elbows, shoulders. So we're certainly able to treat those types of things. However, I usually kind of turn those over to the OTs when we have that available. I will see those patients, but I just don't have as good of expertise with it. Cubital tunnel or carpal tunnel, which is basically impingement of nerves in your elbow and your wrist. Those are typically seen by occupational therapists. What else would be any type of splinting, right? They do
it's definitely splinting. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you need a splint after a surgery, after a hand surgery, splinting is something that's really, that's going to be really their field. Unless again you have a PT who has experience in it and has some specific training in it.
Device modification too, like if you've had a family member that has a stroke and they had difficulty picking up a spoon or a fork of some nature, they can adapt a lot of that stuff way better than I can or you can.
Yeah, and I would say in general, OTs are, especially with the arm and the shoulder, are going to be much better for neurological problems, meaning like strokes, TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, those types of things. I think the big kind of battleground is, should a OT or PT evaluate a shoulder, which there's debate on both of those. Some OTs are phenomenally trained to kind of differentiate whether the shoulder pain is actually coming from the neck. Unfortunately, OTs don't have in their scope of practice to actually treat the neck. So that's where it kind of gets a little dicey. So if you do have an evaluation with an OT and all of a sudden they say, well, I think it's actually being referred from your neck or radiculopathy from the neck, then all of a sudden you have to actually transfer them to a PT, which then the PT can work with that from a neck standpoint. So, but I would say if you're treating just a general orthopedic problem in the shoulder, both PTs and OTs are both very good sources for treatment. And as long as it's truly an orthopedic problem, meaning musculoskeletal problem, not neurological problem coming from the shoulder, from the neck, you can do OT or PT for the shoulder.
Yep.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, that's OTs are going to do a lot more fine motor skill.
They do a lot more creative things than I would do, especially for the hand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So elbow down, certainly a OT thing. Elbow or shoulder could be PT or OT if you were looking for a referral from someone.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Anything else?
Nah.
Yeah. You watch anything news lately?
No, just all the fall shows are coming back, so getting back into the swing of those things.
Have you been watching The Good Place? Life Live, right?
Yes.
Like, is that running pretty well thus far?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're again making a turn. You know, they managed to make a turn every season, and this one they've made another turn, and it's pretty incredible that they're able to keep it as
themselves?
Yeah.
That's cool. I just finished up. I know last time we talked about Man in the High Castle.
I was going to ask you if you've.
Another cliffhanger, shocking, but it was good. It was again, if you're into those types of kind of sci-fi alternate reality type of shows, this I would probably say was one of their. I would say this is their best season, season number 3. So,
Do you start to care about the characters more?
Yes, and you can see there's some internal conflict even on the Nazi side of it, which again is something that I just
don't care. Nazis.
They're Nazis. Whatever happens to them, whatever. But there may be a turning of one of the main figures, which is that he'd be a good guy. So
Woody, he's still a
Nazi.
He's still
Okay, and on that note, with my dogs barking in the background.
All right, I'll wrap this up. All right, I gotta remember how to do this. I'll just hang up with you and I'll wrap up. How does that sound?
Sure.
All right. This podcast was for educational purposes only. It is not designed to diagnose or treat. When beginning any exercise program, it should be reviewed and discussed with your medical professional prior to beginning. Information on this podcast is not designed to replace medical treatment. Remember, treat yourself.